Speaking of baseball, we have not had an opportunity to talk to this gentleman during this very brief postseason thus far, so we take that opportunity now. You can find his work on the Joe Sheehan Newsletter. You can find him on Twitter at Joe_Sheehan. That's Sheehan. It's Joe Sheehan, everybody. How you doing, Joe?
Good, Gill. Just I got an extra day off. I don't know what to do with myself.
you got. That's right. Today, tomorrow, 36 hours of baseball. That's how long that whole wild card round took, which I was saying earlier is like the pitch clock equivalent of a whole series. Before we get to your division round thoughts, what was your biggest takeaway from these 4 2-0 sweeps, if you can generalize?
It was really sloppy. And just it's not due to the format or anything. It was just a very sloppy couple of days of baseball. Some really awful base running, bad defense, particularly in that Rays series. The Rays just didn't seem prepared. And I think it was a reminder that we've got to evaluate these teams. And one of the things I really wanted to focus on is what they look like now, as opposed to using season-long stats, kind of focusing on what they've looked like since the trade deadline. And even at that, I think I overestimated the Rays, missing Luke Raley, missing Brandon Lowe due to injury, missing Wander Franco due to the investigation into his behavior. The bottom of that lineup really fell off. I think it's, like I say, that series to me is a reminder that we've really got to drill down on what these teams are on October 5th, as opposed to kind of taking the season-long stats as fact.
Yeah, and in the case of like a Nathan Eovaldi, maybe consider his entire body of work rather than what you've just seen recently, sort of the opposite on a guy like that.
Well, that was a shocker because if you look at not just the performance, the box score lines, but he was down 2 miles an hour since coming back off the IL in August. 6 starts. He was getting worse instead of better. You look at his last 2 starts against the Mariners; they knocked him around. That start yesterday really shocked the heck out of me. The splitter was great. The curve was great. He got a ton of swing and miss. And as you say, maybe that's the guy he is now. But I'll be honest with you, Gil, I did not see that coming based on anything that I saw in September.
I'm going to go through the 4 series prices here for those division rounds. And after the 4 of them, you tell me which raises an eyebrow for you. Let's do it that way. So I'll start with the biggest favorite on the board of the 4 division round series. Best of 5, by the way. Dodgers minus 200, the Diamondbacks plus 170. So the Dodgers are the biggest favorite on the board. Then Atlanta minus 165 with the Phillies at plus 140 on the series price. Houston just behind that, minus 160. Minnesota plus 135 on the comeback. And then, Joe, Baltimore and Texas, a coin flip at minus 110. What sticks out the most to you there?
That last one surprised me when I saw it last night. Now, the Rangers obviously were one of the best teams in baseball for the first 2 months of the season. They started 40-20, really a 500 team for the last 4 months. Gave away the division on the final weekend, ended up having to play the wild card series. This seems to me a little bit of recency bias to how good they look in that Rays series, but the Rays didn't put any pressure on that bullpen. The bullpen was basically able to protect a couple of really big leads, didn't have to inherit runners. It was just a really easy task for them. The Orioles aren't going to do that. The Orioles are going to put work on, I guess, I have to see the starters, but I was going to be Dane Dunning or Andrew Heaney if they're going to get John Gray back, but it's not going to be Jordan Montgomery and it's not going to be Nathan Eovaldi, at least until game 2. So you're going to be facing the weaker part of the pitching staff. And I think that's an edge for the Orioles. The Orioles are down Felix Bautista, but pretty much they come in healthy otherwise. I was really surprised to see this as a coin flip.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably Dunning or Heaney against, I would imagine, Kyle Bradish for the Orioles in that game 1. Again, quadruple header on Saturday. If I came to you from the future and I said, okay, let's throw out the Texas-Baltimore series, of the other 3, one of these dogs, Phillies, Twins, Diamondbacks against the Braves, Astros, and Dodgers respectively, one of them won their series. Who would that team be?
I think you got to look at the Phillies. I mean, we saw this last year, right? The Phillies took 3 out of 4 from the Braves. The Braves were coming in last year with some questions about their pitching staff. Spencer Strider was hurt. Max Fried was ill. And the Phillies were able to take advantage and take that series. And it's a similar situation this year. Strider hasn't looked that great coming in, but you've got the Charlie Morton questions. You've got the Max Fried questions. Both of them were hurt coming down the stretch. I'm not even sure Morton's going to start in this series. Now you're talking about Kyle Wright. Now you're talking about in the back end of that rotation, which is not very strong. I don't think there's any question the Phillies can win this series. You saw impressively they took out the Marlins, which is like a bye game, right? It's like when Alabama plays, North Carolina A&T. Really don't even take that seriously. But the Phillies bring power, which is what you need in the postseason. They've got starting depth better than they had last year. And that bullpen has gone from being a problem to an asset. So I think the Phillies are the team of these other three dogs with the best chance to win.
With apologies to the North Carolina A&T Aggies, of course, Joe. We didn't mean to throw them.
This is true.
This is true.
I should have said Atlanta A&T from Drumline.
Okay, let's go to the game ones then on Saturday. Game ones. I don't know what the proper English is. Dunning or Heaney. We don't even really know the pitching matchups, but I'll tell you what prices have been thrown out. Dunning/Heaney versus Bradish. The Orioles are minus 130 favorite. Texas plus 110. If it's Suarez at Strider, that's the assumption. Atlanta's minus 205. In fact, in terms of game ones, Atlanta's the biggest favorite, minus 205. The Phillies are plus 170. Joe Ryan at either Verlander or Valdez. Houston's minus 162. Minnesota's plus 136. And then I guess Merrill Kelly at Clayton Kershaw, but we don't know. Arizona plus 164. The Dodgers minus 198 favorites. Anything in game one stick out to you?
Yeah, I don't. Again, to go back to that Phillies thing, Spencer Strider, the FIP numbers, if you look at strikeout rate and some of the advanced stats, he's been great this year. But the fact is, he's given up a ton of runs. He's been very hittable. I think that's a danger spot for the Braves. Suarez is a bad matchup. The Braves, of course, with all that right-handed power. I think beyond even who's going to win the game, I think the over up to maybe even 9.5 is going to be the play there. And the other thing I look at is that Twin series. Joe Ryan, the Twins have three starters who are roughly the same quality. We saw Pablo Lopez and Sonny Gray in the series against the Jays. Opening up with Ryan, even though he's technically their number 3, isn't that big a hurt for them. Framber Valdez, he had the no-hitter, but outside of that, he's been really shaky in the second half. And if you saw in the last couple of days, Gill, that Twins bullpen, I don't think, I'm 52. I don't think I can actually say this. Can I say it's fire? Do I get banned for that? I don't think I'm allowed to say that.
Joe, the cringe meter just pinned. Yeah.
I can hear my 13-year-old daughter. He's like, no, Dad. But guys, they have so many power arms, and it's guys that are pretty much anonymous. Now, a lot of people have seen Juwan Duran, and I mean, guys, he threw 16 four-seam fastballs the last 2 days. All of them were at least 100. All of them. The average four-seam fastball coming out of that bullpen the last 2 days, 98.1. And it's guys that are anonymous. Caleb Thielbar, Brock Stewart, Louis Varland. That is a dangerous, dangerous bullpen. So, all they got to do is get the lead. I'm not saying it's unhittable. Nobody's unhittable in the playoffs. But I don't think coming into this series, we're properly valuing the Twins pitching.
Yeah, you're not alone. A lot of anecdotal love here for the Twinkies moving forward. So before the playoffs, we'll close with this because we only have 45 seconds here. But before the playoffs, I did an exacta. I said I bet the Phillies to beat the Astros at 45-1. That was the bet I made. Just a fun bet. If I asked for the Joe Sheehan Spider Sense World Series outcome, what would you say right now?
Twins over Dodgers. And the Dodgers and Braves are a coin flip for me, but right now I really think that Twins pitching is the best individual unit left in the playoffs, that and the Braves offense.
Wow. Twins over Dodgers. You and our buddy Will Hill both love the Twins here. That would be something else. I mean, was that something that as the season was going on that you were thinking in your head, or is it just sort of in the moment now? You knew about the pitching. You're touting them very well. But did you have that sense during the regular season also?
Yeah, because the Twins have gone from being a pitch-to-contact staff over the last 6 years to the best strikeout staff in baseball. They've intentionally built this under GM Thad Levine, who came over from the Rangers. This is something they've fixed. They're now a dominant, especially in that bullpen, dominant release. So you could see this coming. All
right, Joe, let's do this again, man. Enjoy.
Sounds good.
Joe Sheehan, everybody. Again, at Joe_Sheehan on Twitter, the Joe Sheehan Newsletter. Check it out, all the links at his Twitter at Joe_Sheehan.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.